Well, welcome, Richard. Good to see you.
Hi.
We just before we started the meeting today, we were talking about the World Cup. We're right in the midst of almost the finals in the World Cup, and Richard and I were talking about who we're essentially voting for. Yep, right in the midst of it, Richard. I know we've got about a week or two before we know who the winners are. But talking about winners, Richard, I'm going to put you in the category of being a winner. Not only is Richard a client of John Stokes Financial, but he's done a lot of amazing things in his life. And we're going to be talking about that. But Richard, just real briefly for our listeners here, how did we actually meet some years ago?
Yeah, it was in 2009, I believe. So I worked for SCAG, Southern California Association of Governments. I'm a transportation planner, and this is right in the heart of the recession. I think it
Mm,
might have been 2008. Anyways, it was in the recession, and they laid off a bunch of people, a third of their workforce,
mm,
including me. And they hired you to come and talk to the people that are being laid off on I think that was one of the resources they provided. They
yeah,
provided job search, and one of them was you, like a financial advisor, on what to do in difficult times with your finances. And they brought you in, and I think you spoke to about 25 of us.
yeah.
And I was looking for a financial advisor. I had some savings, and I knew this was going to be a transition period. I liked what you had to say. You were very personable. I went over to talk to you. Uh, I'd been to New Zealand and we started talking and I kind of felt like this guy seems very trustworthy. And I think I said, can we set up a meeting and
Yeah.
maybe you can tell me what services you provide and your fees and how this can help me. I was obviously self-interested. And we met and I think at Starbucks or something and
Oh, there we go.
I think we hit it off. A lot, I can say from my perspective, a lot of what you want in a financial advisor is trustworthiness and a sense of connection. And I felt we
It's
had a
true.
sense of connection and that you understood where I was at. You understood I was kind of in dire straits, the recession,
Mm.
being laid off. There's not many jobs. I knew this was going to be a rocky time. And you were very understanding, and I think you came up with like a good game plan for me, and I felt like you had a connection with me. So then I hired you, and I've been with you ever since for what, 18 years.
No, it's certainly been a while, Richard, and in that period of time you've gone through. I mean, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on, but just about different transitions you've been through. But certainly, with your parents and everything that Richard had to in the last year lay both his parents down. But I want to get to a little bit about that later, Richard, because
Okay.
it's an interesting topic in that you've lost both parents back to back, but kind of how you reached out to us, being your financial planners, about helping them plan for essentially that life transition. So
Right.
stepping back, Richard, when we first met, yeah, '08, '09, there was a recession. If I remember back then, I think we had programs like, Keep Your Home, California payments, where if you're on unemployment insurance, you had your mortgage paid for a period of time and different things like. I mean, back then there were programs available that are not available today that put me, which happened to be your financial advisor, in more of a consultative type situation, right?
Mhm.
Um, do you feel, based on your experience, that we've lived up to that expectation, not only as being a financial advisor, but more on a consultative situation?
I mean, when I got laid off, I was a renter, so the homeowner thing didn't apply to me. But
Okay.
to answer your question, yeah. So I don't view you or your team just as people that help me with my investments. I consider you my financial planner overall. So yes, you've helped me with retirement planning.
Mm,
You helped me get my a realtor to help me with and mortgage. You help me with that. You help me with my trust, getting a trust attorney twice. You've helped me with that.
mm,
So that's all part of financial planning. You've also talked to me about putting away for the 529 for my daughter Quinn, and helping out Funnell on where to put my money and how aggressive to be. And then with my parents, as you said, my dad had 17 different retirement accounts
that's
that I
right.
had to merge into one, and it took like a year of your staff calling and helping and getting them switched, and there was lots of paperwork. And thank God I did that. That would have been a disaster had I not done that. I'd be reaching out to 17 different um, companies trying to get the money that my dad invested. So basically, my dad became your client,
That's right.
and that was great.
Yeah.
So yes, I'd say overall, and I call you whenever I need you. You're my financial advisor.
Yeah.
When times are bad, like when the market crashed after COVID or after Trump did his tariffs, everything went down. Everyone was panicking, right?
Right.
I knew you wouldn't panic, and you put out a video that was reassuring, and I said, "Stay the course. It's going to go back up," and it did.
Yeah.
And I've seen my income grow steadily, and I've been getting pay raises, and I've been
Mm.
putting money away. And we have our conversations every couple months, and you advise me on what to do. Like one piece of advice that I'm going to take is don't pay off my house. I have a 2.875%
That's right.
interest, 30-year mortgage,
Hmm.
but I want to pay off my house, and I want to feel like I own my house outright, which I could do with the money I'm inheriting from my parents. But you said don't do that because the interest is so low. I can make a lot more money on that money that I'm inheriting than 2.875, which is true.
Yeah.
So I
No.
would take your advice.
No, we so what Rich is talking about there is leveraging money essentially. So,
Mhm.
with Richard could take money and Richard currently is taking his money and investing it in the market. He's getting a much higher return. Of course, disclaimer, no guarantee, but he's getting a much higher return than what his mortgage rate is essentially. Your mortgage rate is probably below 3% if I'm in my
2.875,
and that's free money for intents and purposes.
pretty low. Yeah,
But what I did say to Richard, and I'll say to our listeners, is it is about peace of mind. Richard alluded to the fact that he would love to have no debt, essentially, right? I mean, having no mortgage means no debt.
correct.
And but there is good debt and there's bad debt. Maybe
Right.
this is a situation because of Richard's uniqueness and his financial planning situation where because he's got money invested, those investments are done extraordinarily well. I mean, if we look back just over your period, Richard, where you've been in this transition, if I jump around a little bit here, 08, 09, we had a terrible transition. All the mortgage industry folded, right? It was ugly times for a lot of financial
Yep.
firms and people in
Yep.
generally.
Yep.
I mean, we've had in 2022 when COVID happened and that March, April period, the stock market dropped. But that was during a COVID period, an unprecedented period. Outside that, we've been in a wonderful market condition, stock market condition, and real estate for all these years. And, Rich is always like, John, is there the potential? He mentioned the tariffs and things like that, interest rates right now on mortgages are very high. So ultimately, what I'm getting to is part of the planning. And as Richard mentioned, he is employed, his paycheck keeps going up. But Richard, you talked about inheritance. Now, I want to just talk about that real briefly because that is becoming a subject we talk to clients more about or prospects that are coming into this firm and how to handle those going forward. New rules right now are put in place. The old rule was based on if you inherited IRAs or retirement accounts, you were able to take that over the course of your lifetime. That was called a stretch IRA environment. And that was taken away recently, where you now have to take those retirement accounts and draw them down over a 10-year period. So the whole landscape of how you handle these inherited accounts play out not very favorably like it used to be. And
Mhm.
Richard, you've had numerous conversations with me about that. And what is your outlook on this?
Well, the salt got reinstated, or they lifted the amount of the salt deduction. That helped me.
That's right.
Um, for me, it's all about balance. So
Mm.
I need to have a lot of savings, but I want to have money to have fun. As you know, John, I love travel. I
Hmm.
have three things that I told my dad before he passed that I'm going to spend inheritance on: my daughter Quinn, my house, and travel. Not necessarily in that order. And my
Okay.
daughter's going to go to college, which will be a pretty penny, which I'm saving enough money for.
Okay.
But I want to have enough money to do fun things and go do things. I'm going to retire in about 5 years. So I want to keep my lifestyle where it's at now. I don't want to have a drop in lifestyle. And I have enough money to do that. But I also want to leave Quinn a really nice nest egg. And
Mm.
then by the time I pass, which hopefully won't be for a while, the house will be paid off. She'll inherit the house. She'll have a nice cushion where she won't have to worry too much about money.
Mm-hmm.
You gave me a couple other good pieces of advice. You told me don't invest in crypto, which is smart. My buddy talked me into investing $500 in Bitcoin. I barely got my money back, and I was
Oh,
sweating it out.
right.
So crypto, not for me. I don't believe in it. So you gave me good advice there. And
Okay.
the other big one was should I get long-term healthcare insurance, which is really expensive. My parents were in assisted living, and it's a gamble getting it or not getting it. You advise not to get it because the premiums are so high and they could keep going up. There's a lot of loopholes. So hopefully I've made enough money where I can save. And if I end up having to go assisted living, I'll have enough to pay out of pocket, which is what my parents did. They also didn't have long-term care. So those are two decisions that I've made that I took your advice.
Mhm.
I can't think of anything where you gave me advice that I didn't think was good advice.
And some
Um,
time ago, Richard, we talked about trust planning,
right.
right? And
Yep.
you talk to our audience more about kind of when we started that conversation, what went through your mind, and where you're at with all that now.
I think for me, everything changed when I had a daughter because I didn't have a dependent, and she was born in 2010. And I realized I need a try. I didn't have a trust. I convinced my parents to get a trust too, based on my experience from you. They didn't have a
Mhm.
trust at
That's
their
right.
age. It's pretty crazy, but they had one in time. But you helped me get a attorney, an estate attorney, and went through, and I had a relatively straightforward trust.
Yeah.
But everything's being left to the trust, which is Queen is going to be the executor of the trust and the only dependent in the trust.
Yeah.
It's peace of mind. The trust gives me peace of mind,
There we go.
which is important. I have a life insurance. You also helped me get life insurance. I forgot about that. You helped me get $500,000 worth of life insurance from
Yeah.
Genworth.
Hmm.
That's also peace of mind. Even hopefully you never use life insurance, but it's peace of mind.
That's
Insurance is
absolutely
peace of
right.
mind. So
Yeah.
that's worth money. Insurance is worth money because it provides peace of mind, just like the trust does.
Yeah.
I don't want my. I have a nice house, which is worth a lot of money now, and I have say if I don't have a trust and it goes to probate, my daughter has to deal with all that, and I
Yeah.
don't
That's a good point. Yeah.
want that to
Financially
happen.
too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's really important to have a trust.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that a lot of my friends don't have life insurance and they don't have a trust, which is I'm 59.
Mm.
So my friends are my age. To be my age and not have either of those seems kind of irresponsible, unless you just don't have the money, you flat out don't have the money to do it. But if you have the money to do it, there's no reason you shouldn't do it. And I can say with pretty certainty, I have most of my best friends don't have a financial advisor.
Mm.
They're just doing stuff on their own. And
Yeah.
I think it's patchwork for them. They don't have a bevy of experts, and you and your team and people you send me to. I feel like I have a lot of resources on my side. It's well worth it.
Well, these days, especially, Richard, I've been a financial advisor for decades, 25 years now. Yeah, back when I first started, I mean, for intents and purposes, we were called stock traders, right?
Hmm.
That's what we
Yeah.
did. You would call in and John, I want to buy, GM or IBM, the big name brands back then, right? And just over the 25 years I've been doing this, we've went from stockbroker to financial advisor, where we're looking at things more broad based, and then financial planners, where we're now incorporating tax planning, investment planning, trust planning, estate planning, to where we are today, where we're looking at legacy planning. As Richard emphasized multiple times, this is what I love about Richard and his attitude on life. He talks about his daughter. He talks about giving, giving, giving. And I said earlier when I introduced you all to Richard, he's got a lot of winning ideas. As far as I'm concerned, he has. He's living his life not only for himself and wants to travel with him and his family, but he wants to set up a legacy for his family, as I do, quite frankly. And we really resonate on that. So emphasizing all these details that Richard talked about, it does require specialists. It does require people that have a history um, in being not only a financial advisor, but being a financial planner. And also, what we bring to the table is I have a whole team of staff from paraplanners to certified financial planners. Richard alluded to trust attorneys, CPAs, He mentioned the mortgage guy, the mortgage banker, the real estate agent. It all came through the relationship with John Stokes Financial. So if anybody out there is looking for that high level touch, we aren't a firm that's good for somebody that just wants to come and do transactional business. We're not a fit. We're not going to be a fit. We are looking for people like Richard in his situation where you're thinking about the family. You're at a point in your life where you got enough assets where, for intents and purposes, a guy like Richard could retire today if he really wanted to, but he doesn't. He wants to keep going. He loves what he does. He wants to contribute and things like that, Richard. So, in any event, looking back, Richard, on your transition back in 08, 09, and you've gone through how many job changes have you gone since that time? It's been a
I mean,
couple, hasn't it?
yeah, I got laid off twice during the recession, for various reasons. I had 7 jobs in 7 years.
That's right. I
I
remember
I moved
you're,
to Colorado and San Francisco, and they weren't a great fit for various reasons. But this job I've been at now, I've been at for 11 years.
mm,
I went through a really rocky time where I was trying to find where do I want to land in my career? Where do I want to settle? And now I have a job that's been really good. I live in Carlsbad, which is near the beach and the ocean, and I can see the ocean
it's,
through the window outside here. And I have a pretty good existence. My partner and I have been together 16 years. My daughter's going to be a sophomore in high school. She's talking about wanting to go to the University of Michigan, where my dad, aunt, uncle, and cousin all went.
there you
So
go.
we'll see. She wants to keep that going. But for me, it's all about relationships. I would agree with you. If it's just you need a stock trader, like you can get every time I go to Chase, they're always coming at me. We need to buy. They want my commission, and I always tell them I have a financial advisor. I don't need that, but I view them as someone who's a trader. They're going to make trades for me. They're not going to give me the same tailored customer service, and I can call you at any time. I would say for clients of yours or potential clients, don't just be passive. It's good to be proactive. And
Yeah,
I set up calls with you and I reach out to you when
that's
something
right.
doesn't make sense or I'm a little worried. Is the market going to go down? Are we overexposed? Like I take ownership in my accounts that you set up for me.
That's
I
right.
don't just give it to you and go and call you in 2 years. Like
That's right.
I would recommend that you be involved as a client, and trust your opinion, but certainly ask questions. I ask questions.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. And this is what Rich is talking about basically is being open for each other. It's interesting, Richard. Yesterday, I had a potential client reach out to us, and she's been with her financial advisor for 20 years. My initial response is, while we're talking, she goes, "Oh, I just feel like a calendar. I just feel like every year, twice a year, at about the same time, they just call and they just fill in that calendar to keep my business. I'm looking for somebody, John, that can have off calendar conversations." Right? Do you feel that's the case at our firm or not?
Absolutely. My dad had a financial advisor. I think it was Edward Jones or something. I
Oh, that's right.
never heard from him.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd like once or twice, and then there would be someone new that would introduce. The guy he had would leave.
Yeah.
That happened numerous times at numerous firms. So I saw what he went through, and he definitely did not get the tailored customer service. So I would say, yeah, I mean, absolutely, you're someone I can trust and I can call, and you have competent staff that'll help out. You're available. And we do have off the book meetings and calls to go over things, including how we're doing. Like you asked me how I'm doing. How's your daughter? And I believe it's sincere. It's not just window dressing. It's not
Yeah.
small talk. I believe that you care about how am I doing in this life, this world, and your
Right.
role is to make it so I have the financial means to do what I want to do for me and my family,
Right.
and you're available. So it's all about a relationship. I believe that having a financial advisor is all about the relationship you have with the financial advisor and his or her firm.
No,
And I
absolutely.
don't want to just be a number. I never feel like I'm just a number with you ever.
Mm. Okay. Now, if you're, well, thank you for Richard. That's, hand over my heart.
Mhm.
Um, in closing, Richard, if you were sitting with somebody that's getting laid off now or just got laid off, and feeling the way that you did back there when we first met, what advice would you give them, knowing what you know today?
I mean, it can get pretty dark when you lose your job because you lose your health care and you lose your identity a lot of
Yeah,
times, right? And you're
that's
going
right.
like spinning. And it's really hard to find a job now. There aren't that many jobs. So you got to look at it in the long run. You're not going to get a job if you make 100,000 or more. You're probably not going to get a job in 2 months. You're gonna have to really hunker down. I would say rely on relationships, your friends, your family. Don't suffer in silence. Don't
Wow.
just be in a dark room doing your resume. You keep getting rejected, and then there's no support network. And I considered you part of my support network when I went through
Okay.
these job transitions. So you would be part of that along with my family and friends. I would say reach out. And the way my experience that you get jobs are through contacts. It's not through sending out blind resumes.
Mm,
That's pretty unlikely. I got this job that I'm at for 11 years through a colleague who hired me, knew that I did a good job and had an opening and hired me. And that's usually how you get a
fantastic.
job. So you have to work all your connections. You
Yeah.
have to be willing to go out there and make calls, not cold calls, people that you know or people that are acquaintances that might know someone else. It's not, you don't have to know everything, but you don't have to know how to get it or where to get it. And so I'd say that's really important. Try and stay positive. Sometimes for me, the glass was half empty. So I had to evolve to become glass half full. And I knew I had ability and I was talented and I have skills and experience and I had a master's degree. I'll land on my feet eventually.
Yeah.
It's kind of a grind. You can't give up. And I've never given up and I've always landed on my feet. Sometimes it took a little longer than other times. And there was some lean times
Mm,
and I had to suspend traveling and eating out less, but that's just temporary,
right.
right? Unless
Yeah.
you're forced into early retirement. If you're
Right.
mid-career, early career, you're going to find another job and it's
Mm,
just temporary. You
that's right.
just, you have to grind it out. You have to show grit and resilience.
Yeah.
I teach my daughter grit, resilience, and tenacity.
Mm,
Those are three traits that you don't need to learn in school that
mm.
you can use in life that will always serve you well.
Well,
I feel
Quinn's.
you have those too. That's why we have a connection too, I
Oh,
think.
thank you, Richard. Yeah, that's a lot to live up to. Like Quinn's a very fortunate to have you as the father.
I
I
think so.
remember those years ago when you would talk to me about because I've been a father for 26 years, right?
Right.
And so I was a little ahead of Richard there, and he says, "John, what's it like being a father?" My response, Richard, if you remember, was, "It's the biggest blessing you'll ever have in your life, and it doesn't stop. Always gets better. Sure, there's going to be challenges. Sure, you're going to have a little bit of this at times, right? But at the
Right.
end of the day, it's the absolute best." I remember
I
us
would
having
agree.
those conversations. So that, Richard,
Would
I
agree.
want to thank you for your time tonight. Great to spend this time with you. And I hope anybody that's been listening throughout this, you get the opportunity to reach out to us. We have a complimentary consultation. Why? Just to get to know you, see if we would be a good fit for you and vice versa. Richard, you take care. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, and go England in the World Cup.
Okay, Richard,
All
there you
right.
go.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.